Hello and welcome to the Voice of Intuition podcast. My name is Susan Jane and I believe that trusting your intuition is the best way to live your life with meaning and purpose. Each week you will hear about how you can connect, develop and trust your intuition through the wonderful array of guests we have on the show and my own personal experiences. Join me to understand how your intuition can guide you towards a life full of meaning and loving purpose. Hello and welcome to the Voice of Intuition podcast. Now, just a little bit of a heads up. I have noticed there's a lot of Voice of Intuition podcasts. So I am actually going to go back to the original podcast that I started. I'm keeping on going with where we are, but I'm actually going to just change the name back to The Art of Intuition. And the reason why, it aligns better with what I'm doing and where I want to go. It is also trademarked. I've got it trademarked. So it is all protected in that side of it. So I will be going back to The Art of Intuition, and that will incorporate all my online courses, that will incorporate my readings, that will incorporate the workshops, and of course it'll incorporate this podcast. So yes, look out for changes over the next few weeks because that will be coming through. But before I go on to this week's episode, I do want to just recap on the powers and how this sort of all came about. So I did get a big download late last year. And it was called The Powers. I was given this information. I was also told that I needed to share this information. And the way I share it was, because I did ask, well, am I the only one doing this? Because I don't feel like I've got a big reach to help, universe get to where they want to be. And the message I got back was that no, there was a few people doing this. There was quite a few that they're actually putting in to do this. And they will all present this information in their own way, in their own ideas, in their own field. So I do get quite analytical, as you can see by my little spreadsheet on here, my little chart. I do get quite analytical. When I'm doing anything in the spiritual realm, it still needs to make sense to me. I still need to have that flow of consistency. It has to make sense. And when I received this sort of information, this started to make sense. So the first piece of information I got was that it's about scissor energy. Now, we all have the ability to do this. It's just that these sort of powers are a little bit dormant in some people. So they're not actually embracing them. So the first one I got was scissor energy. Now, scissor energy had three elements. It was about taking control, trusting the process, and enjoying life. So with scissor energy, when I looked at the take control side of it, what did that have to do with scissors? And it was like we had to stop. We had to cut some of those ties that were no longer suitable for us. So we had to stop that sort of flow of maybe negative energy or flow of that aspect in it. So when I go down to these green sections here where it's got the stop, cut, restrict, and protect, I have gone into separate podcasts for them and blogs. You'll get them on my website as well. I've gone into them separately because they're more of the learning process that goes with it. So talked about scissor energy, yes, in one of the podcasts. I talked about take control in one of the podcasts. And then I go down into the stop or cut, restrict, and protect. Now, in those, you will get some hands-on understanding of how you can stop that flow, how you can cut that negative flow, how you can restrict it, especially when it's for people that we still need to deal with, like work colleagues, but they've got a lot of negative energy coming to them, and then how we can protect ourselves with that. So they're actual trainings, learnings for you. So you can go in to listen to those, but they're all on the podcast there. We're where we are up to at the moment. Last week I talked about trust the process. So what does that mean to us? And then today we're talking about allowing. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a bit of an overview of that. We'll go into open tomorrow and not tomorrow. We'll go into open next week and experience. And these are about being open to trust the process and experiencing the process. So it's step by step. It's a very, very structured step-by-step guide to help you get from the 3D realm to the 5D realm. Now, I believe there's more energies to come, but I don't know what they are and I don't know what they look like. And I was also told that I had to present this first before I could get any more information. So that's on standby. We have to see how we go with that. But today it is all about allowing trust by releasing resistance and embracing flow. So when life pushes us into those unexpected changes, our instinct is often to resist it. We want to cling to what we feel that, often what we feel is familiar, but it often doesn't serve us any longer. And mainly because of letting go can be a little bit uncertain. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what it is, or can even be painful. But the first step to truly trust the process is to allow, and that is to release those resistance and surrender to the unfolding of life. Now, easier said than done. I get that. There's definitely areas there that I struggle with still. I'm going to go into that one in a minute. But just imagine, say, your workplace. You've got a workplace disagreement. I know I've been there, done that. I've had this workplace disagreement and I've stood my ground because I felt, like I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to hold my ground here. And I sort of pushed back and I pushed back. I felt like I had to hold that position. But when I was doing that, I was actually closing myself down to other ways. So I stopped after a little while. I stopped that resistance and I allowed the other person, whoa, look at me, I allowed the other person to put their point of view across, to open up. Now, I did not have to take it all on board. So don't worry, I still felt what I had was very, very valuable. But after listening to that other person, I started to adapt a different way of understanding it. I started to allow that flow to happen so we could look at going forward in a more positive way. So when I was holding on to this control, when I was trying to control the situation, it made me rigid and it created these unnecessary frictions. Allowing me to step back and look at the bigger picture, I could see the conflict, but I could release that conflict and see the opportunities that could come through and change those directions. So in both business and in life, we have to pick our battles to win the trust. We know that trust is not about other people. We also know that trust is about learning to trust our own judgment. So when is it time to really stand your ground and hold it? Or is it time to actually open up and see if there is a better path there? Another one is in the aftermath of a relationship breakdown. Oh, we had a few of them. So it's natural to feel like your world is being shattered. But I remember playing those moments in my mind, searching for ways that I could have changed those outcomes, that I could have, seen what I could have done differently. I tried to resist the reality and I even bargained with fate. Like, where can I go with this? I didn't want to be on my own. I wanted to be in a relationship. And this wasn't my marriage because I stepped through that on my own. But this was when I started dating. And it took a long time before I even started dating. But there was one particular person I thought I really liked, and it was really hard to let that go. But in letting it go and resisting that and allowing trust to come through, it did give me the opportunity to feel the pain, to get the understanding of it, to grow with it, to move forward with it. I gave myself time to grieve, to feel those emotions in full without suppressing them or numbing them. I stopped trying to rewrite the past and I started to focus on what was here in the moment, like what was here in the here and now is what I'm trying to say. So the situation might be showing that you need to heal. There's still other areas there. And this is what I gained from it. There were still other areas there that I needed to allow and let go. There were still other areas there I was holding on to. And I did not want to take that into my next relationship, my be all and end all relationship, which I feel like I'm in now. I did not want to take some of those negative learnings, those understandings there. I wanted to go through with a bit of a clearer understanding of me, who I am, how I can flow, how it happens. So we can do that. I gave myself that time. I gave myself the opportunity to connect with my intuition and grow stronger than ever before. Now, when I'm saying surrender to the process, it doesn't mean we have to give up. I'm not saying we give up on everything. It just means letting go of control over things that you cannot change. It means recognizing that even in pain, growth can happen. When you stop resisting, you begin to notice those small shifts. There's a certain type of clarity that comes with solitude, I know for me, and there's a strength that builds in moments of discomfort. One of the other areas I've looked at with allowing that trust and allowing resisting, like releasing that resistance, is when I'm doing art. Like I want to do more art. We're in between homes at the moment, so we've sold the big house. We're in a little small unit while we're waiting to purchase our next home. So everything's in storage. All my paints, everything else is in storage. Now, I don't protest to be an artist, not in the slightest means, but I love the creativity that art brings. I love to be able to do that. And I watch the YouTube channels and I watch the art work and the people creating these beautiful pieces. My biggest issue is because of my analytical side, I go, well, what am I going to paint? I'm looking at the result, not the journey. What am I going to paint? What is it going to look like? What color am I going to use? Is it going to match the house? Is it big enough? Is it small enough? What am I going to do with it? I can't just put paint on a piece of paper or a beautiful piece of canvas and then leave it in the cupboard. It needs to be able to go somewhere. And I have all these things running through my head for why I shouldn't paint, why I shouldn't create. All this resistance to stop me from flowing. And I know I do it. And it's like, it doesn't matter what it turns out like. It doesn't matter whether you use it or not. It's not about that. It's not about the final product. It's about enjoying that flow as I go. And you'd be surprised. I know I've done a couple of paintings where I've created something and I've just allowed the flow to go, and I've looked at it a week or two later and gone, oh my God, that is awful. I don't like it anymore. Enjoyed the process, don't like the result. And I've painted over it and created something different. So when we release that resistance, when we stop trying to hold on to everything, holding on to the kids, don't want them to leave home because you feel you're going to be lonely. This is what life is all about. This is what embracing the flow is. You've got that pain there to say there's something else for you. Don't hold on to that, but allow something else to come through for you. Allow yourself to be able to do something rather than control the situation there. So it's really important to allow that trust to come through and say, one of the old sayings, back in the 80s, I trust the process of life to take care of me. I trust the process of life to take care of me. And things start to move. Allow it to come through. Now, there's 3 ways we can embrace allowing trust. We can feel without judgment, we can release the what ifs, and we can trust that the answers will come. Now, when we feel without judgment, it's giving yourself permission to experience those emotions fully. If you're sad, you can cry. If you're angry, acknowledge it. Avoid labeling emotions or feelings as good or bad. They're simply part of our experience. So, for example, if you're struggling with a job loss, rather than pushing your emotions to the side, allow yourself to grieve. There is a lot of uncertainty with a job loss, a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty with changing jobs. I know I've just gone through that. But only feeling that in the fullness of it, are you able to move forward? Because a lot of the times that stop us, that resist us from moving forward, is the fear of not knowing how you're going to be feeling. Whereas if you embrace that feel, you know what it's going to be like. When I was moving jobs, so I work part-time in a digital marketing agency, in the digital marketing space. I love that space because of the analytics behind it. I prefer this space because it really fills my soul. but I love the analytics behind it. I actually love creating things analytically. So we have all those areas there, all that aspect there. Sorry, I should have done that earlier. So I really enjoy that space, but moving from one agency to another was really quite daunting for me. So the first agency I worked at, they were doing a lot of the Google ads. That's basically all we did was Google ads. So I became very good at Google ads, really good at Google ads. I enjoyed the aspect of it. I enjoyed the knowledge, tweaking things, moving things around to get what I want out of that, to really get the most out of it. So I really enjoyed that side of it. I had I'm very good at processes. I'm very good at structure and that side of things, how to put businesses together. I'm very good at that. It comes quite naturally to me. It's still very hard in your own business, but I can see it really easy for other people's businesses. So I'm very good at that. So moving from one agency to another, then this agency that I'm in now do a lot of Facebook ads. Now I've never done Facebook. Oh, well, I've done Facebook ads, but never in in an agency style. So I've done them for myself. Didn't do too well. Now I'm learning why. So the changeover I knew what I was doing in my other job. I was, spot on, got it happening. The reason why I was leaving is because I basically had reached the ceiling. I couldn't go any higher. The owners were above me and that was about it. So I wanted something else to keep me going. So moving into this other one, I could learn about Facebook ads and Meta ads and expand myself a little bit more, open things up. I was already building websites. I was already doing Google Business Profile. So I had a lot of that stuff already under my belt. I had understood a bit about Facebook ads, but not much. So I'm learning that, but also putting all these processes in for the business. But that changeover, I remember really struggling with that because in one job, I felt like I was on top of the world. And then on the next job, it was like, oh my God, how do I do this? What am I doing? So it was very much out of my league. And it wasn't that I didn't know how to do the work. I didn't know how the new business structured their work, how they did the work. So when we're doing a particular task, different people have a different understanding of how that task is done. Just to make the bed. How do you make your bed? Some people just throw all the blankets all over it and then walk away. I like to straighten the sheet up underneath before I put the others on top. There's different ways that we do this. And that was where my fear and stress started coming in. So I've stepped into this role. Within 2 weeks of me stepping into the role, the owner, the only one above me, had a 6-week holiday booked. So I was really struggling on my own. And there were certainly times there where I wanted to just chuck it in because it was like, this is just so stressful. But I allowed myself that opportunity to sit in that yuck, not dwell in it, not wallow in it, but just sit in it for a little bit and get an understanding of it. And as I did that, and that took it wasn't just one sitting, I can assure you. It took a couple of sittings, mainly on a Monday when everything just went crazy. I'd come home and it was like, okay, I need to get my head around this. I need to get an understanding with this. And that's what I did. So I sat in it and got the understanding. And my attitude was, you've got to give it 6 months. You can't just do this. You've got to give it 6 months. You've got to understand that situation and understand how it goes. Well, I've been there over 6 months now and it's going really well. But I allowed myself to feel it and to let it move on and let that understanding come through. So that's feeling without judgment. The next part is releasing the what ifs. And as I explained with my artwork, I get a lot of what ifs. They just throw themselves at me all the time. Part of how I receive my intuitive messages. So there's a little quiz on the website. Sorry, gone off tangent. There's a little quiz on the podcast on the website. And it's called Your Strongest Intuitive Nature, and you can find out how you receive your intuitive messages. Now, I receive mine a lot mentally and then go into the spiritual stuff. The download obviously was spiritual, but most of mine comes through mentally. And so It's very challenging when you've got the monkey chatter in your head and you've got a lot of these what ifs, what ifs, what ifs coming. To get through that is when you do need to look at meditation. That was the only way I could settle my monkey chatter, as they call it, that head just going crazy. So there's a what if this, there's a what if that, there's a what if this. When you start getting those what ifs, flip them. So when I decided to leave everything and come down to the Gold Coast to study full time when I was 48, I had a lot of people say the what ifs. They were talking about the what ifs. One person said to me, so what if you don't get into the course that you want to get into? You don't just get in there automatically. What if you don't get that? Well, you flip those what ifs and you can turn around and say something as simple as, what if I do? Because they're putting that negative in. You can flip it and just do with the what if I do. But this is where my mental intuition really came in, because when somebody said that to me, straight away I said, without even thinking, like I didn't think about it, it just came out, the words just came out of my mouth. Well, if I don't get that, I'll just get another one. I'll do something else. My intention was to go to uni to be able to reach more people. So whatever that looked like, I allowed that flow to come through and I released the what ifs. It'll be what it needs to be and it will be the right thing. So it was a lovely feeling to let go of that. So be aware of that. Watch those what ifs and you'll get them from yourself and from in the monkey chatter in your own head, and you'll get them from other people. But that's okay. All you do is let it go. Flip it if you can. What if it does happen? How exciting. What if you have an accident? What if I don't? Flip it. Just flip it each time. Then the last bit, number 3, is trust the answers will come. Okay. Now, we don't always have all of the solutions all at once. We know that. Okay. You just don't get that. And part of this allowing and trusting that allowing is to trust that the answers will come. You don't need the solution straight away. You don't need to feel lost in all the, again, what ifs. You don't need to get lost in there. Trust that the answers will come. Again, go back to the 80s. Trust the process of love will take care of you. Trust the process of love will take care of you. Trust that the answers will come when you need them. Trust the answers will come when you need them. It's all about trusting that. It's all about getting that clear understanding that whatever happens is meant to be. And I'm going to go with that flow. I'm going to allow it to come through. I'm going to release resistance. Oh, there's been times there, don't worry, that I've gone, what? WTF? Had a few swear words. Because I really, come on. But step back. You're allowed to get angry. Like I said, feel without judgment. Okay. And then step forward in it. When I received this message about the powers, it's like, I'm not really picking it up what you're putting down, but it started to flow. There's another power. I don't know what that is. I've got to trust the answers will come when they need to come. And that's how we're going to work through that. So allowing trust. Okay. The first step we need to do is trust the process. When we stop resisting that, you'll begin to notice subtle ways that will support you. You have to feel without judgment, okay, and release the what ifs and trust the answers will come. Feel without judgment, release the what ifs and trust that the answers will come. And this will be how you will release that resistance and embrace that flow. How exciting. Next week, so that's me for this week. Next week, we are going to be talking about opening. So how we're going to receive those new possibilities. But for now, I need to say, oh, hang on, I've got to move that one, get that one out of the way. I need to say bye for now. Got to find all the buttons. Bye for now, and I will see you all next week. Okay, have a great week. Bye.